Hi, welcome to Anaprime Recap. You've been transported into a fantasy world and start to gain unusual abilities, facing totally bizarre enemies. We're in the Shinka no Mi anime, episodes 1, 2 and 3. Seiichi is a loser, an ugly and dirty boy who, on another pathetic day at school, is faced with something strange. All the students were surprised by a voice on the speakers, saying it was God speaking. In 10 minutes, the entire school will be transported to a kind of role-playing game world. Now students have stats and skills and must form a group evaluating these skills. Obviously everyone was confused, and for a change Seiichi is ridiculed because he is level 1 in all possible skills. The students disappear into the fantasy world, but Seiichi is sent to some other place. So this god decides he's going to give him a special ability for being last. The smelly boy was taken to a forest and spent 5 days with absolutely no challenge, and he is terribly hungry. When he spots a mysterious fruit, he knew it was his chance to feed on something. When analyzed with its scan, the system presents it as the fruit of evolution. What looks like a giant nut, but the taste was completely terrible. After feeding, a voice warns that the effects of the fruit will be activated. But absolutely nothing happens, and so the boy goes on looking for food. He peers through the bushes and spots a group of monkeys. He remembers that those creatures stole an insect from him not long ago. But the monkeys are level 120, so he has to wait for the animals to leave to steal the food. As there were a lot of fruits, the boy opens his inventory to keep them, and luckily he still finds high-level recovery potions. We can see that all the students were sent to a central square of a city in the game, unlike Seiichi, the most unlucky of them all. He still insists on eating whatever crap he sees, and eats a bizarre mushroom that causes him to become paralyzed. Lucky for him, the fruit of evolution gave him resistance to poison. However, he ended up being found by one of the monkeys who gave him a violent punch. Seiichi uses his life potion and manages to get back up. But the level 120 monkey is too fast and beats him up once again. Apparently, the boy's smell was so bad that killed the monkey intoxicated, dropping consumable items and cards of skill and crafting. Also, there was a book on the race of intelligent apes. The boy can read in a totally unknown language, perhaps because of his unique abilities given by the god of the game. Now his transformation has been revealed. With a terrible ache, his body begins to change, and just like that, he wakes up with a new look, much thinner. He is totally terrified and confused. The game informs him that 1000 skill points have been added to each attribute. However, Seiichi is angry, he is still level 1, and his transformation is in phase 1/10. 5 months have passed, and the boy learned new techniques with the smart monkeys. He is already capable of taking on a level 311 Aquawolf. Seiichi dodges at supersonic speed from the power thrown by the wolf. With only a single kick, he blows the animal's head off, even though he's still level 1, which leaves him impressed. Several items are dropped and sent to his inventory. But the most interesting is the unlocked magic. He gains a legendary weapon, the dagger of the water spirit sphere. The problem is that his evolution starts again. His bones twitch, and he wakes up with 9 out of 10 evolutions complete. And to make things worse, he's surrounded by several clever monkeys. Directly from the skies, a huge, pink gorilla, called Kaiser Kong, falls in full rage calling Seiichi to battle. When looking at the creature's status, he sees that the pink gorilla is level 775. Totally overpowered. The gorilla charges at him with a colossal punch, and the boy still manages to dodge it. But something strange happens. The pink gorilla is impressed, and even enamored by the boy's speed. Seiichi finds that too bizarre and throws a kick. But this infuriates Kaiser, who dodges and says that was rude and dangerous. And now it would be his turn. Using his super punch, he throws Seiichi several meters through the forest. However, the boy is still alive, and this makes the gorilla even more passionate, who by the way identifies as Saria, saying that he likes strong men. The boy is upset by that talk, and tries to use one of his powers. However, once again the gorilla dodges and comes like a meteor in the boy's direction, crashing to the ground. Both Seiichi and Saria are still intact. As the last card in his sleeve, the boy decides to use his water magic along with the dagger of the spirit and summons a whirlwind of water from the heavens, but he misses the target and hits himself. The gorilla throws a massive punch again and again, making Seiichi lose a lot of blood. While taking the blows, the boy reflects on how much he has been humiliated by his classmates, and remembers how he managed to defeat the monkey in his first battle. When the gorilla went to deliver the final blow, Seiichi used his smell again, releasing the putrid stench of his armpits. But instead of killing the gorilla, he made him even more in love with him. The beast wants to marry the boy, and decides to take him along with it. He is then taken to the pink gorilla's treehouse. And he is incredibly well cared for, which scares him even more. Saria makes a magnificent feast and even sews clothes for her beloved. But the two continue in the fight because Seiichi wants to escape from that place at any cost. While the gorilla was catching some fish, the boy tries to escape, but he comes face to face with a giant terrifying spider. But Saria sends the beast into space with just one blow, which leaves Seiichi wondering if he should really treat her so badly. After all, she is extremely worried about him. Meanwhile, in the main city, some students are finding the leader's behavior strange. The king ordered everyone to defeat the demon lord that haunts that world, for they were skilled warriors never seen before. However, the head of the royal guard named Zakia does not allow the students to go out in combat, and only keeps them in training. This has them worried, because nothing makes sense. Seiichi has finally escaped from the gorilla. But Saria found out and is coming at full speed screaming for Seiichi not to go in that direction. But the kid uses his speed skill and shoots ahead. He then arrives at a dungeon that seems very scary, but still advances, and when he finds a huge door with some torches lighting it, he enters without even wondering what it was. Just ahead is seated on a throne, a bizarre skeleton with red eyes, who says that no one has ever entered his room, and if a human has managed to do that, he must have a matching power. Seiichi looks at the enemy's status, and that was the level 1500 Dark Lord. The skeleton begins to release a powerful red aura. He calls the boy an insect and wields his sword. In a blink of an eye comes the attack. Seiichi screams, already fearing his death, but he realizes, all that blood was from the gorilla Saria, who came in front of the attack and had her chest stabbed to save her lover. The boy despairs and says he can give her a healing potion, but Saria says it's no use. A Kaiser Kong can resist with 0 health for a few minutes. She had already died at the time of the attack. There's nothing more to do. Seiichi is desolate. The gorilla still says that the boy is kind and wasn't afraid of her, and makes one last request, for him to smile one last time. Seiichi went into rage mode. He summoned his legendary weapon and slashed at the lord, doubly slashing with his bone weapon. But the attacks were being easily blocked. Xenos continues to mock Seiichi's love for a gorilla, and the boy says he really loves her. And so he invokes a new spell, Oceanic Impact, shooting 7 jets of water from a magic cell. But still, nothing. The Lord opens black holes that dissipate all power. But Seiichi won't give up. He uses his instant movement and goes at supersonic speed with the dagger, right into Xeno's chest. The creature begins to glow and drops its axe. The skeleton thank him for showing what true love means. And so, the true appearance of the creature that will go in search of its beloved in another plane is revealed. Xenos crumbles into particles. The boy still has time to talk his last words with Saria, who is also already falling apart. But when a bright light appeared, something was wrong. Instead of the gorilla, a red-haired girl who claims to be Saria appears, and hugs Seiichi, leaving him totally bummed, for obvious reasons. Now it was time to open the chest dropped by the boss, and several new powers have been added to Seiichi, including his XP level has increased so much that he will enter his last evolution. Saria is desperate to see the boy squirming, but looking at him in his final stages, she realizes that his appearance has changed once again. Before the two can think of leaving that dungeon, some bugles start to sound and a little sheep in a suit named Mr. Sheep appears in the tower. He claims to run that place, and he's there because the duo was the first to finish that dungeon. And now they will get special items, seeds of the fruit of evolution, and one 10-day travel set. In addition to very exclusive skins, like a helmet that opens if you want to eat something. After that, Mr. Sheep teleports them out of the dungeon, throwing them into an open field, and from now on, Saria and Seiichi's new journey begins. They advance a little through the forest scenario and already find a friendly slime enemy, which has an absurd level 88. The blue jelly jumps on top of Seiichi, who summons his swords and breaks the poor thing with one blow, leaving a trail of destruction. Even he was frightened by his strength. With more items dropped, Sarah kept the boots to increase defense. And Seiichi with the skill cards that made him level up once more, and so his helmet also evolved with a strong light, and turned into a dark cloak. Well, when they arrived in the first big city called Telbert, because they were without their player identities, they had to use the Gem of Truth to enter the gates. Officer Claude confirms they have no criminal history and lets them in. Despite the guard's warnings, Seiichi decides to go to the guild's headquarters to get the IDs. The place is a bizarre bar with a somewhat alternative staff. A girl is using her whip and red candles for completely insane activities. It's a place full of depraved people. Seiichi tries to convince Sarah to flee from that place, but they are interrupted by Gassel Kroot, a bodybuilder head of the guild, who convinces them in a crazy way to join them. Aris McLean, the whip freak, turns into a sweet loli, and convinces the new members to finally register. She then says that they need to go through an evaluation mission to know what level their missions are, and for that they must be supervised by an adventurer named Arturia, ranked A. However, the white-haired woman doesn't want to babysit newbies. And even though she is furious about it, she ends up accepting the job. On the streets of the royal capital, she tells the duo that they will go through general category missions, the first being to help children from an orphanage, something very simple, and Sarah decides to stay there alone to complete this step. Artoria leads Seiichi to the second challenge, which would be a building demolition mission. And just by pressing his palms against the stone walls, Seiichi makes the place collapse and everything collapses on top of him. Artoria is desperate, thinking that she caused that situation. She remembers childhood trauma, always thinking that everyone who approaches her ends up hurt by her. Despite all this concern, Seiichi emerged calmly from the rubble, and Artoria was furious with him, saying that he must follow instructions and not act like a fool, as adventurers must develop the ability to sense danger and know that the people around you can get hurt. And now the last challenge has arrived, taking the dog for a walk. The problem is that Milk-chan is a giant wolf who goes on a rage after Seiichi. Well, but apparently the 3 tasks were accomplished, and Kroot hands the duo the first bounty. Artoria ends by saying that perhaps they have really found newcomers with great potential. And now guys, what will be the next missions of Seiichi and Sarah in this new guild? So what did you think of this anime? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more anime recaps. See you next time.